Hey, Brennan here. Welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. Got another 2024 rookie report here for you tonight. I'm going to be joined by Jason DiRienzo, my podcast co host. We're going to talk JJ McCarthy tonight. We're going to give you everything you need to know to get you ready for your rookie drafts. We're going to go over his stats. We're going to go over his PFF grades. We've watched 3 or 4 all 22 game films of his. We're going to tell you what we saw by reviewing his scouting report. We're going to go over his draft projection. We're going to go over what his dynasty projection looks like. We're going to have some fun with some player comps. So you play Devy, you play fantasy. You're looking for a YouTube channel out there that's going to give you a look at the 2024 class and beyond. Hit that subscribe button. We're already scouting next year's 2025 draft class. We've got a lot of great content on this channel. Let's get to the show. All right, Jason, JJ McCarthy. All right, I'm excited for this one. All right, so I cut up his all 22 film of Ohio State, Alabama, and Iowa. Quarterback, 6'3", 202-pound junior. This is going to be a really fun show. I think this is going to be a very spirited show. All right, I mean,
Spirited. Nice word. Okay.
spirited. Yeah, okay. So it is the end of January or February. The combine is a week away, and the JJ McCarthy hype train has left the station, baby. I mean,
Yes.
it's
Full steam ahead.
incredible. So it took me a while to cut up those films, but it was worth it because I've got a lot to say about JJ McCarthy. Let's go first through his career statistics before we get to his scouting report on these. This is his 3-year career, 339 passes for 5,000 yards, 39 TDs, 7 interceptions, completion percentage 70%, yards per attempt 9, TD ratio 5.5, not fantastic. Rushing 82 rushes, 694 yards, and 9 TDs. He's had 13 fumbles in 3 seasons. His PFF grades are all pretty solid across the board. 87.9 for passing grade, in the higher percentile. No pressure grade 90. Looks like it's around the 75 percentile. It's pressure grade 72. But again, that's the higher percentile. His ability to make plays off script. I'm sure we're going to talk about that here shortly when we get to a scouting report. His adjusted completion percentage, 5th in the nation at 80%. Average depth of target, 9.4, which was tied for 81st. Big time throw rate tied for 38th at 5.9%. So
Mm.
just some PFF grades there from his 2023 season. His scouting report. All right, this is the meat and potatoes, Jason. This is what we want to talk about. Do you see
Go for it, Brandon.
him? I'm just going to ask you straight out. Do you see
Yeah.
him as a first round pick?
Absolutely not.
Okay, I
No way.
agree with you 100%. So these 3 games, when I decided what all 22 films that I wanted to cut up, I wanted to go for the later ones this year. So the Iowa game, Ohio State, Alabama, they were all towards the end of the season. I think one of them was a
Mhm.
championship game or something or whatever. He was very successful in the beginning of the year playing all those subpar teams in the first 3 or 4, back in September. Michigan played all the bad teams and he did pretty good, right? Had a really nice game against Michigan State. He had 4 touchdowns, but these were the games that I really wanted to see him play the best competition. And I mean, let's talk about what I did like when I watched him on the field. All right. I think his mechanics are pretty solid. I'm no QB guru. I'm never going to pretend to be a QB guru. But I'll tell you what, he really looked comfortable in the pocket when he wanted
Mhm.
to throw the ball. It looked like, the arm angle was good, the torque in his body. He's got the ability to throw the ball. I think he's got some good arm talent. Um, so from a mechanic standpoint, he was good. I think he's an underrated athlete. I think he's got the ability. He's got some mobility issues, some ability rather, not issues. But I like his athleticism. I mean, he's not an elite
Mhm.
athlete by any means, but he's not a statue back there either. Um, but you tell me what you liked in his film because I know you've got some feelings too on what you saw.
I mean, I agree with a lot of what you already said. Like, I really like his just the toughness and competitiveness that he has as far as making sure that he can execute, keeping his eyes downfield. Like, if he knows there's a defender coming straight at his face, he'll still stand firm and throw the ball downfield. That's the type of toughness I want from a quarterback. A guy who keeps his eyes downfield even though pressure and contact is imminent. Like that's huge. That's something you can't coach, and it's hard to get from a quarterback. So that's a check mark. How he navigates the pocket, standing firm, subtle footwork, goes through his hitch, understands his progressional reads, when he stands firm in the pocket. That progressional read changes when he gets outside the pocket and outside of structure, but I like everything he does in the pocket. I like the live arm. He's got good arm strength, not downfield, but I think he's got a nice rocket in the first and second level. Sometimes he needs to tempo that down a little bit. But I also like the mechanics. I agree with you. When I watch his throwing motion, he's got a nice follow through. His pointer toe is pointing exactly toward the receiver that he's throwing to, and I like the anticipation on his throws. I think he can throw in the tight windows. We saw, I think it was the Alabama game or one of those games where he throw into one of the tightest windows to
Hmm.
Roman Wilson between two defenders.
Yep.
That's an NFL throw. So
Right.
that's a nice check mark too. So I think there's a lot to like. I think he's got the unrated athleticism, like you said. It's just when it comes down to some of the decision making, I have issues with, and I'll let you kind of go into your concerns unless you have other things positive you want to talk about.
Yeah, I think one thing that I came away really positive with him is his ability and his accuracy on the run. And there was
Hmm.
probably 4 or 5 plays where he's rolling out to his right and, throwing that ball on the run, working the sideline, leading his receiver to the sideline. So I was, really impressed with that. I saw some eye manipulation. I saw
Hmm.
some, that going on, but I think when it all came down to it, the inconsistent accuracy was pretty evident. I mean, this guy just worked the between the 0 and 20-yard, 25 yards in the field. I mean, I was, you watch the play by play when you're cutting up these films, and it was, AJ Barner for 7 yards. It was Colston for 12 yards. It was just there was never any explosion. I was just saying to myself after cutting these 3 films up, like, would you throw the freaking ball down the field like 50 yards? Now, I know that that's not what they asked him to do, but why? We talked about Roman Wilson earlier, right? And just
Yeah.
how what speed he has. He was underutilized. So is he a product of that system? But I was really frustrated watching him because it was the check down, it was the first read, it was easy. They got the ball out of his hands immediately. And sometimes they rolled him out of the pocket, sometimes they didn't. But man, he always looked for that interior between the numbers, the tight end and inside slants. Roman Wilson, Cornelius Johnson, all these guys were just right around the line of scrimmage. Everything was short and quick. So if he goes to an NFL team that just struggles with an offensive line and he is under duress, I mean, I don't know how he's going to do it. Me personally, as a junior, I think he should have stayed another year. And I know we won the national championship. I know and Harbaugh's probably out there telling all these teams that he's a smart guy and he knows the whiteboard and all that. But man, I don't know how you could watch those 3 games and come away and say to yourself, this guy's worth the first round draft pick. I mean, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer on the guy, but I'm just telling you, I mean, there was no wow plays at all. I mean, you mentioned it, the one, nice play that he kind of, hit the seam and threaded the needle to Roman Wilson. It was a 20-yard pass, in his red zone play. It was nice. I just didn't see any wow moments.
I can't agree with you more, and I really had to think about this after we started watching a lot of the film, and as I'm watching this, I'm thinking, "You know what? I think I understand what they were asking him to do." They were asking him not to lose the game for
Right.
Michigan. They it Let's put it this way, he had 140 yards in that final game. To me, I want to rely on the best player on my team to win the game for us.
Right.
That was obviously not JJ McCarthy. And he only had one game last season over 300 yards. I think it was the Purdue game. Like, if you have a guy who's talented, you are going to maximize that talent for your team to continue winning on a consistent basis. If he was that good, why not use him more? And I
I,
think it's
I,
because
I
they're
agree.
trying to mask exactly what the issues are. And I think a lot of it is decision making. I think when things start to break down, he might stand firm in the pocket, but he will execute throws that he should not be executing. And it's not an arm ego thing either. It's more of a mind thing. Like he just wants to get rid of the ball or
Mhm.
whatever it may be, but he's not thinking about the outcome of that play. And I think that's a problem. So yeah, I'm not going to rely on a guy where national championship team didn't even rely on him in the biggest game that they've had in
Yeah, I
years.
know.
I'm concerned about that, highly concerned about that.
Yeah, and then I saw a guy post something on X just this morning, actually, where he said, "Hey, for all you guys out there worrying about why JJ McCarthy wasn't asked to do more, it was because Michigan was always leading. You know, they always had a big lead." And I'm
Ah,
like,
mm,
I'm just not buying that. I mean,
I don't buy that.
yeah, I mean, so
I don't buy
I
that.
I don't buy it at all. So I don't know. I'm this is a guy that he's gonna have to go to an NFL team. So we might as well get like right into his draft capital, right? Because
Yeah,
right
let's do it.
now I
Yeah.
just saw, I think it Lance Zierlein. Is he the NFL guy on NFL.com? Maybe
Mm,
he was
yep.
number 8 coming off the board, like a top 10 pick.
Holy crap.
I,
Ugh.
I couldn't imagine. I mean, this guy looks like he's just not ready for the big leagues. I mean, I know that there's traits, and I was actually intrigued a little bit because I was like, okay, well, there's the unknown. We know what Bo Nix is. We know what Spencer
Yeah.
Rattler is. We've seen him for 4 or 5 years. You know, Penix. We know, their pluses, and maybe this guy could be developed. But I mean, I saw nothing on his film that made me think like, whoa. I mean, the arm talent is incredible. I mean, look at these plays. I mean, it was check down city. It was all just quick, short passes, and didn't excite me much at all. So draft capital. I mean, he's going to go in the first round. Sounds like it right now, and he's just getting built
Yeah.
up. And there's this hype machine right now trying to get this guy to be. But I don't know. It could be like a Pickett situation, like Pittsburgh all over again. Someone takes him in the middle of the late rounds, and they got a guy. I mean, this guy should not be on an NFL field starting next year. He has got to sit a season.
Man, we are gonna agree a lot on this show with JJ McCarthy, but to me, I don't want him to go in the first. I want him to go outside the first round. So
Mhm.
that pressure of being a
Oh
first
yeah.
round pick is not on him. And he can sit and he can learn because honestly, there are tools there to work with, and he could
Hmm.
be a serviceable starter. But the decision making and I don't know, man. I think the game needs to slow down for him in order for him to really hit the peak of his ability. That's not gonna happen if you throw him on the field based on what he was asked to do in college for all those years. So, I don't want him to go in the first, but that's where he's gonna go.
Yeah, he's
There's
right
just
now. It looks like
too many
yeah.
needy teams right now.
Exactly. I mean, they're all starving. I mean, like I've
Yeah.
said it a million times. I can't believe we can't find 32 human beings in the world that can play this position at a high level. But if he's a first round pick, I think he should take the Jordan Love route, right? I mean, a franchise
Yeah,
gets him and says,
absolutely.
we're going to marinate you. We're going to let you get bigger, stronger, learn the game, learn our system, and maybe a year or two down the road, he's ready. So, from a super flex rookie draft selection, um, I mean, I'm not taking him. I mean, I don't care if I'm in a super flex league or not. I mean,
Yeah.
he might go in the first round. If he gets that one draft capital, people are going to be reaching for him because he's a first round and he's going to get opportunity. But I mean, he's probably what, late first, second round pick.
I would say so. I mean,
Mhm.
the athleticism is definitely gonna pay off in fantasy football, so I'm intrigued by that. And again, there's definitely tools there. I mean, I would love for him to land with like Sean Payton or somebody who knows exactly what they're gonna try to get out of him. Where he lands, I think is gonna play into,
Oh, big.
how I feel about drafting him and where I draft him in Superflex also.
All right, our favorite time to talk about our player comps.
I
I
don't
got
think they'll go like these either.
yeah. I got Mac Jones, man. I think it's a similar situation. Mac Jones was overdrafted, won the national championship with Alabama. He showed at least a little bit more vertical passing ability, if I remember correctly, at
Mhm.
Alabama, throwing to all those great receivers. I mean, in JJ McCarthy's defense, he didn't really have great receivers either, but it's not even like he
Right.
tried to force the ball down the field. But I think it's like a Mac Jones situation. I think a team's going to get him. They're probably going to force him in there too early, ruin his confidence, and I don't know. I'm just not a fan. I just think he's could be, but not for
Yeah.
a year or two.
Yeah, I actually could see that comp. I mean, a more athletic Mac Jones, but the outcome I can see. I want you to be wrong, but I think you might be right. I have Jarrett Stidham coming out of Auburn. He just reminds me so much of what I saw from Jarrett Stidham. Just that pocket navigator, get the ball out quickly, make quick reads. But then again, once the ball has to go downfield more than 15 yards, the indecisiveness and the decision making, stood firm under pressure, but still things would break down once he had to roll out. And if he was still under pressure, he would just try to force the balls. And I see that from JJ McCarthy. So I see a lot of Jared Stidham, and I want to be wrong on that one, but I remember Jared Stidham quite a bit, and I see a lot of similarities.
All right. Well, there is our rookie report, and I extend our apologies deeply if you are a JJ McCarthy fan and you may not like what you're hearing, but got to call it like we see it.
Yeah, got to be
This
honest.
is, yeah, dude, we're film watchers, and regardless of what his stats are and metrics and all that, it really always comes down to the film and the skill set. So, good stuff on JJ McCarthy. There is our rookie report.